Hello. Welcome to episode number 147 of the 9 to 5 Wellness Podcast. Today's podcast is super special. You know why? Because let's just say summer is here, right? Because it's super hot outside. And summertime means ice cream time. You scream, I scream, we all scream, ice cream, right? We're going to be talking a lot about ice cream today, but not the kind you're familiar with. What if I told you that one of the creamiest, most indulgent desserts on the market is plant-based and actually made from cauliflower? I know, it sounds wild, but it's real. Today, we are diving into the science, the sustainability, and the sheer grit behind the world's first ever cauliflower ice cream brand, Eat Kinda. And joining us today is the founder of Eat Kinda, Milli Kumar. Milli is an entrepreneur, food technologist, and Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree. She co-founded Eat Kinda, the world's first cauliflower ice cream brand, alongside her co-founder, Jenny Matheson. Milli, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Aisha.
Thank you so much for joining us. And it's hot outside.
It is so hot and sweaty.
Right? We both were talking about it as we were coming here into the studio, and you're like, oh, I can't believe it. It's so hot.
Yeah.
And that's so true. But there is one thing about summers that I love, which is first, the cool nights, right? Nights are so awesome. And you have longer days. You can spend time with your family and friends. And you can eat something sweet, right?
Yep. Hopefully lots of ice cream.
Yes. I love ice cream during summer months. So tell us about your brand. How did you get inspired to, make cauliflower ice cream? What's the origin story?
Yeah, sure thing. Aisha, I know what it's like being a child and going to a birthday party and not being able to eat the treats there, right?
Oh, no.
I grew up raised vegetarian by my family, and specifically in New Zealand, there's a lot of meat and dairy around. And so I know what it feels like. And about 5 years ago, I met my business partner at a local business pitch, Dragon's Den style competition. And she had similar trauma, I guess. I bonded over that. And Eat Kinda was born, right? And we just wanted to create delicious products that meant people didn't have to miss out on joyful moments.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. And I can relate. I have been vegan for a certain time in my life, especially in my teenage years. And guess what? You're so limited. You go out and it's almost like you can't have this, you can't have that. Some days, and this is back in the day, I'm kind of telling you my age at this time. I should be careful what I say. But honestly, though, some days it was okay, my only option is salad. And when it comes to dessert, maybe a hard candy, and that's it.
Yeah. So Jenny, my business partner, she has been vegan for over 20 years. And growing up, she wanted friends of her friends not to miss out, And so she created these delicious options in her kitchen, home kitchen. And one of them was cauliflower ice cream. And that incentivized her friends to come around and hang out with the kids. And when I went to Startup Weekend and she pitched this cauliflower ice cream idea because I related to the problem that she was solving, I joined her team, and together we did really well in this business pitch competition and found others also had that problem. We did research during that time and found that, in New Zealand especially, the options are very limited, and there's actually a real market opportunity, and there's more people like us that need delicious options that can be allergen friendly. And after this competition, we decided, why not we take on this massive problem and create delicious solutions? And that's how Eat Kinda was born.
Absolutely. I love it. I just love the fact that you actually went ahead and you're like, okay, oh, there's an opportunity here. If we are enjoying it, right? If this is a product that we are enjoying, we want other people to enjoy it too. So just love that. Okay, here's the question. Now, I know that my listeners and viewers, they're thinking one thing. What? Okay, you're making it sound like, wow, it's like cauliflower ice cream and whatnot. But I want to know, does it taste like veggies or cauliflower? And when I tested it, like taste tested it at the Tech Week event, if you blindfolded me, honestly, and you gave me the ice cream, I would have been like, wow, this is probably the creamiest and most delicious ice cream I've ever had. And I didn't taste anything. But you tell us, what are people saying who have tasted it or who have, consumed the ice cream? What is the feedback that you're getting about it?
Mostly similar to what you experienced. It is something that's pretty wacky and weird, and we know that. However, the cauliflower has been used to create a texture and taste that is very similar to dairy. That was the problem we wanted to solve, and cauliflower is merely the way we've gotten to that point. And it's been amazing, right? So this product, we actually launched into the New Zealand market, and it was a sellout success. We launched through a premium pizza chain during a 4-week trial period, sold out. We got global press on it. That led us to launching nationwide in one of the 2 major supermarkets in New Zealand. So we've already validated product market fit. And I would say one of the hardest countries, because dairy is so important to the New Zealand culture. It's our biggest export. So we know people love the product. And we also did blind taste tests, like you mentioned, with other leading brands like Haagen-Dazs, Strawberry, and a few other competitors, and ours actually came on top. So there's been a lot of trial and error and R&D work that's been done to create the product that we have today. Once we started going viral on social media during our launch in New Zealand, that's what actually motivated us to bring it to the US, because we validated product market fit. And about 12 months ago, we came to the US, we bought some of our ice cream tubs in the back of our, in our suitcase and our backpacks, and we went around the streets of LA giving samples out. And those videos went viral and people were shocked just like you were. And I think that's what gave us really that confidence that this product needs to come to the US.
Love that. I love how you actually started with a beta test at a pizza shop. It did really well. You kept on testing on other people and, comparing it to dairy brands on the market. And so you had enough data on your product to know that, okay, this is something that people will enjoy. Okay, I do want to show your packaging over here because I asked you to bring some. So look at this. Isn't this cute? I love this pint. Love, love, love it. Now, here's my question for you, because since we met and since I tried the ice cream, this is something that has been like on top of my mind, that why cauliflower? Did that have something to do with the texture of the ice cream, or like, just as I said, like it was probably one of the creamiest ice cream I've tried. So does it give to the creaminess of the ice cream? Why cauliflower?
When Judy and I started this business, there were 3 things that we agreed upon from day one that pretty much are the foundations of our business, right? And the first thing was the eating experience. It has to taste delicious, no compromise. The second thing was sustainability. We want to be as sustainable as possible. And the third thing was global, making this a global brand. And cauliflower helps us achieve the first 2 things, right? So the first thing, it actually helps create the texture and the creaminess of the product. And secondly, it is a more sustainable ingredient than a lot of the ingredients currently used in dairy and non-dairy ice cream. And I can share some facts with you. So
go ahead, please.
Yeah. So for example, cauliflower production compared to cow's milk production uses 81% less land use, 76% less greenhouse gas emissions,
wow,
and about 49% less nutrient runoff into the environment. So yeah, I guess the stats speak for themselves,
that's
right?
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. And so we feel better using an ingredient that's providing indulgence and helping you, feel happy by eating ice cream. But it's also, you can feel happy because it's doing less damage to our environment, right? Which is a growing issue due to climate change. And yeah, so I think those are the two main reasons. I'd love to share as well, the initial formulation that Jenny actually used to make had some other ingredients in it. We used cashew nuts.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, her initial formulation had ingredients like cashew nuts in it. And during our reformulation work, we wanted the product to be as inclusive as possible. And nuts, we wanted it to be nut-free. So we got rid of that, and also very expensive. And then also ethics, right? Like cashew nuts is actually quite an unethical ingredient to make. I mean, I think a lot of it comes from Asia, and if you look at the videos, people's hands, like they get quite burnt from the manufacturing processes. So there were a lot of these factors that we really looked into from day one in building this brand to bring it to what it is today.
Yeah.
And we're always working on how can we make it better. And it's a never-ending process, really. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like any other product or any other business, right? There's always going to be evolution of the product. And along those lines, another question that's coming to me now, and I want to address it here. Now I know why cauliflower is better ingredient than others, but did Jenny and you, did you guys try any other vegetable or any other ingredients as the base of the ice cream?
Before Jenny and I met, Jenny actually made a pumpkin ice cream because there were lots of pumpkins in the garden, and she wanted to find another way to upcycle and use those pumpkins. And she loved that pumpkin ice cream, and that's what inspired her to try different vegetables. And cauliflower was one of those vegetables she tried, which provided the better taste, texture, and quality. And that's why it became the family favorite.
Nice. Very nice. Which flavors are currently available or are being manufactured for the market in the US?
We're pre-launch still, so you're one of the first people to try it in New York.
I get first dibs, guys. Well,
you're very
lucky. I like that.
We will be launching with 2 flavors. Strawberry swirl is one of them, and the other is still under the wraps. So if people want to know, they have to keep following us. And hopefully very soon, you will find out where we're launching and how people can get their hands on some ice cream.
Wonderful. I like that. But I tried the strawberry flavor, and it was amazing, just so you guys know. So as soon as it hits the shelves, you guys have to get it. Okay, so I've been wondering about the processing of the ice cream too, because I know that my viewers and listeners are also thinking of the same thing. Okay, how come we can't imagine cauliflower being turned into ice cream? And yeah, if I hadn't tried it, I would be having a hard time imagining it too. So without giving away any of your secret recipes, tell us, how is cauliflower incorporated into this ice cream? I'm thinking more along the lines of is it in raw form, or is it cooked or steamed? What happens to cauliflower?
That is part of our IP that we've produced. How do we take the cauliflower from the farm and process it in the way that it can then be incorporated into our ice cream? So I can't share too much about that, unfortunately. But our ice cream has to follow dairy standards. So it does go through all the same heat treatments and that a normal ice cream would. So it's completely safe.
Very nice. So I work with a lot of people who have nut allergies or are sensitive to dairy. I have a lot of people in my family who are lactose intolerant. And yes, I know there are things on the shelf or in the freezer aisle for people who are lactose intolerant, but they don't taste great. I'm going to be very honest with you. I haven't had ice cream in the last 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why's that?
Because I just don't feel good after eating that much amount of dairy. It just upsets my stomach.
Yeah.
I don't have a diagnosed intolerance, but I know that it's something that doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
So that being said, I am super excited for this ice cream. But let's talk a little bit more about how safe it is for people with common food allergies and or dairy sensitivity.
How did you feel after eating our ice cream?
I loved it.
You didn't
It was
feel
light. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, you're one of 4 Americans that have a top 9 allergy.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, about 83 million people in America.
Wow.
So it's a big amount of people that have this problem. And surprisingly, I think it's 48% that have one allergy have two.
Yes.
That actually can't even have some of the plant-based ice creams because normally they're made from nuts or soy or oat and they have those allergies.
And they have eggs in it too.
Egg, yeah.
Irregular ice cream would have eggs. And I know a lot of people who are also allergic to eggs too.
Exactly. So our product hopefully will be a good option for a lot of these people that have allergies and intolerances. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we won't know until we launch and hear people's feedback. But that's our mission, right? Like, how can we create more shared moments of joy for people through ice cream to begin with, but hopefully other products as well?
Wonderful. So through ice cream and other products, I just like that highlighted over here. Hopefully we have more things coming down the pipeline too.
Hope so. Yeah. What would you like to see, Aisha?
Oh, I would like to see the ice cream in a popsicle form.
Yeah.
I know that kids do really well with popsicles if it's like in a wrapper that they can just hold and eat.
Yep.
Right? Something like that. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of room for innovation. And I mean, talking about innovation, you did innovate tremendously, but I think there's a lot of room there too. And I'm sure you guys will dive into it. So I've read somewhere that using cauliflower is more sustainable, and you did hint on that in comparison to dairy milk. Was that also one of the incentives for you to start producing this as a product?
Yeah. As I mentioned for Jenny and I, one of the main reasons personally why we wanted to build this business is to show that business can be done differently, it can be done more sustainably, and that is definitely one of the drivers. Also, some of the initiatives that we successfully were able to do in New Zealand was work with farmers to upcycle cauliflower. So that is cauliflower that is left on the farm as waste, perfectly fine, delicious, really nutrient dense.
Yeah.
But because it looks a bit different or has a little bit of colouring or is too big, like we had cauliflowers this big, they were just left because the supermarkets don't want them. And we worked with them to use that cauliflower. And I think it's something ridiculous, like up to 50% of vegetables are left like that around the world. Don't quote me on that stat, but it's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And that is an initiative that we want to find a way to bring to the US. And we've actually met growers in America, gone to their farms, and they've spoken about how this is one of their biggest issues right now. And it's such a hard thing to solve because America is so big and the supply chain so difficult. So we're working with them to hopefully find a solution.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited. The more sustainable it is and the more we're using the products that are already out there so that we don't have to necessarily grow new, the better it is just for our environment and just our planet in general. And I'm so glad you mentioned that when you were producing in New Zealand, you were using cauliflower that was kind of like left on the farm because it didn't have like that perfect shape. And it's sometimes I'm like, we have become like obsessed with perfection. In all honesty, if you think of us as just human beings and then all the other living things, which includes plants and whatnot, we are perfect in our imperfect ways, right? That's what perfection actually is. That being said, though, you mentioned using cauliflower and or other vegetables that are on the farm and then they're left behind because they're not as perfect to be displayed in a supermarket. I subscribe to this vegetable courier service. They send the veggies to me. And those are the veggies, exactly just like you said, those are the veggies that are left behind. The potato is not symmetrical as the one that I would get like from a supermarket. But so what? I'm like, okay, it's okay. If it's a little triangular rather than an oval, I'll take it, right? It has like a few dips or stuff. I use those. And I've been using that service for a while too now. I think I'm going on a decade.
Yeah.
Another friend of mine told me about it and she's like, hey, there's so much produce that is just left out in the fields. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. She said, yeah, just because, it doesn't like come out perfect, like the tomato has a bump on it or whatnot, and they would just leave it behind. because that's how they filter, like they have a filtration system or criteria where they're like, oh, this does not fit like that shape or size, and we are going to leave this tomato behind, or we are going to leave this cauliflower or potato behind. Yes.
I think it starts from consumer perception, right? And I think the more we raise awareness about this issue, the more people like you will go, hey, look, why are we fueling that industry, and hopefully buy products that is imperfect. And we want to help raise that awareness because, yeah, this produce is completely fine. And it also impacts the small businesses and the growers who just have all this crop that they're not able to make money from, yet they're putting all this resource into it.
Yeah.
And so it's actually the whole supply chain, and the people that work the hardest are actually the ones missing out as well. So, yeah, this is a big problem that needs solving in the food industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad we were talking about it. And it all started with the cauliflower ice cream.
Yeah.
So, no, that's great. I really hope that you can also use that kind of like cauliflower that's left behind for your ice cream here in the US. Who would be a good contact for you if somebody's listening to this podcast? I know that this is a global podcast. It's being heard right now in 105 countries and 960 cities all over the world. That being said, who would be the right person to approach you to help you find those kind of fields or cauliflower so you can use it?
I think that's not the problem. We've already connected with some of the biggest growers in the country that have this problem. It's just the resource needed to build that solution. And at the moment, as a small business, there's only so much we can do, right? So to be able to use this cauliflower and build that supply chain, but unfortunately it's going to take a lot longer than we thought. And we're working on it. If there's anyone knows of industries or funding that's available to help build these sort of supply chains, that will be amazing. Reach out to us, because I think that's probably the biggest challenge as a 2-person team that's doing everything, trying to solve another big problem. Completely.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Hey guys, if you want to fund like a female-founded food business, now you know who to reach out to. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey as a founder, because a lot of my audience members are also female founders, because I'm a female founder, so they relate with me, and they are always interested in learning more about the female founders who come as a guest on my show. So, I mean, when you have your business, it's almost like having your baby. Like, that's your baby because you put like sweat and sleepless nights and everything into it. So tell us more about the story behind Eat Kinda. How have you brought it to where it is today so far? Where do you see it going from here? What's your hope for Eat Kinda in future?
Yeah. This is my first job.
Okay, this is my job, just so everybody understands it.
Yeah. This is my first job. So I started Eat Kinda pretty much right out of university.
Oh, nice.
Studied food technology. Serendipitous, I guess, met Jenny the day after I submitted my degree.
Wow.
At the startup weekend, and that was the start of Eat Kinda. And in the early days, I was juggling a master's. I started master's. I had a scholarship to do a master's project. I was juggling masters, building this business from the ground up with pretty much no funding. Jenny and I come from both very humble backgrounds.
I understand.
And working as a barista in a cafe. And so that was the origins, and Jenny was working full time while we were just scrappy and figuring out how we're going to do this back in New Zealand. And very quickly, we got a lot of support and a lot of interest. We were solving a real problem, so it's not surprising. And this became our whole lives. Jenny left her job. I actually ended up, I haven't said this publicly, but I ended up quitting my master's.
That's okay.
To go all about that. And as as a South Asian woman, we don't quit and we don't fail.
No, we don't. Don't quit.
I had to make the decision, and it was actually quite funny because one of the organizations that gave me the scholarship were like, you need to quit and focus on the business. Because they could see, right, the opportunity and that I was, this amazing business that we were building and the potential for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it kind of has pretty much been my whole life for the last 5 years. As I mentioned, for Jenny and I both, we have always said we want this to be a global brand. From day one, that was the vision, because we knew for our mission to scale and for our impact to scale, it had to go beyond New Zealand. New Zealand's a tiny country of 5 million people. And so when we saw the inkling of this potentially being a success, we took that leap.
Yeah.
And it's brought us to America. And we're obviously very in the beginning and in the early days, but we're very hopeful that this product and the brand is going to grow in the US and hopefully even beyond US one day. And we can have as much impact as possible, whether it be around the sustainability, even showing women and other people that businesses can be done differently. And I think that's very important to Jenny and I. We're both very different people. We're not the typical corporate business founders, right? We're not necessarily the prettiest people. I'm young. Jenny's a bit in the older age bracket. You know, she was, I think, 49 and I was 22 when we met. And we together, you know, people go, are they founding? Like, what's happening here? They look very different together. You know, they're not the typical people to co-found a business. And so we want to show, we're not, but that's fine. And you can also find a problem and solve it and build a hopefully global business. And so that's a personal motivation for me and Jenny. And hopefully, you know, through scaling eKinda would be able to show that amazing things can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I really love that. We are so unique in our different ways, but you coming together with Jenny and then creating this brand, and hopefully, I'm really hopeful that it would expand very far, not just in the US, but beyond that, and globally, it becomes a global brand. Because I want other people throughout the US and then beyond, all over the world, especially for women, to see this is how entrepreneurship actually looks. And you can do it. If Jenny and Milli can do it, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I already see the impact of that. You know, people reach out to me when I'm at conferences and on like through LinkedIn. And it's just so nice to see that us just showing up and doing this and building this business is actually inspiring the next generation and motivating people to take a leap and go for it. And I love that. Like, that's so cool to me, because not enough people are, right? And you don't, especially as a woman founder and a founder of color, I think there's a lack of representation. And so hopefully by me just doing it, we're going to hopefully create more people that, you know, take a leap
you're
and
setting an example.
Build more businesses and that solve real problems, right? Solve real problems is the core of it. And for me, it really is about how do we have more delicious products for people that can't eat it and are missing out. So I'm excited to see the evolution of eKinda. As I said, it's very early, so watch this space.
I'm super excited about it too. I've already gotten a lot of DMs on my Insta when I met you at the tech event, and I posted like a clip of us together. And a lot of my friends are asking me, like, when is it hitting the shelves? Like, let's talk about availability. And I don't know how much you can share right now, but I do have to ask you this, because otherwise my friends will be like, okay, this is it. We're not listening to your podcast anymore. What's the approximate timeline, if you know of it? And, you know, when can people buy it in stores?
We're working on launching this summer. Okay. And the best way for people to stay in contact and to know when we're going to drop the product is through our social media at eKinda, EATKINDA, just in case if you didn't get that because of my accent. And Instagram, Facebook. We also have a wait list. So if you go on our website, you can fill out the form. And our wait list is really our core community, and they get the exclusive taste testing opportunities, which we've been doing around the country at the moment, as well as any exclusive news on when we'll be dropping the product. We're a small brand. We're going to have to take baby steps. So for people that aren't in the areas where we end up launching, I apologize, but keep supporting us, and that really helps us being able to hopefully scale this nationwide as quick as possible. However, I'd love to know your thoughts as well, Aisha, being in the sort of wellness, food wellness space. Where do you think, eKinda should be, and which potential markets do you think we should be, looking into?
Quite honestly, I think eKinda belongs in every freezer section of every store. But I would say a lot of more health conscious people would go to probably certain brands. So like more small chain brands, which are really focused on selling unique products like this. So I can give you like a list of a few stores that are coming to my mind that I can share with you. But I do want to ask you something. You mentioned that there's a wait list, right? And I have this box right here for you guys to see. It's Eat Kinda, EATKINDA. That's the Instagram, right? That's what people are supposed to follow. And how can they get on the wait list again?
The link's in our Instagram as well, but it's also on our website. If you just go on our website, there is a wait list form. You just click it, sign up. And
Awesome.
You'll be on our email list and we'll let you know any details.
That is great. That's one thing like I think a lot of my listeners would want to be on, because that way they probably would also know if it is hitting the shelves closer to home. That would also give you an opportunity to see where there's demand building up already.
Definitely. And that's been really good for us to see already. You know, definitely there's areas around America where there's more demand, West Coast, East Coast. By the way, the waitlist is global. So we've got people from all around the world on there, and that's amazing for us.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to include the link to the form in my show notes.
Amazing.
So that everybody can access it right away. If they're listening to the podcast, you know, the show notes are always right there. So they can just scroll down and just hop on the wait list. But coming back to your question, I think it honestly belongs in every store, because I know that in every community that I've worked as a healthcare practitioner, people have food allergies today. And a lot of kids miss out on desserts, especially because the desserts are kind of like very heavily produced with either dairy and or eggs, right? And those are the two major allergens, and then nuts too, especially in South Asian communities, right? Nuts are very much part of the desserts. So I would like to see it coming in every store, and hopefully that time is going to be soon. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Any parting thoughts for our audience members?
Thank you for having me. I think as a final thought is, you know, the best thing that the community can do is really support us on social media. Please follow us, sign up to the waitlist, interact with our content. And if you have a grocery store that you would like to see us in, tell them about it, even flicking them in an email. It really helps us. Being a frozen brand has its challenges. We can't just put it in a box and ship it to people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so as much support that the outer community can do, or the people that actually have this problem, the better for us and the faster we can grow the brand.
Please support Eat Kinda. Follow them on Instagram. That's one of the easiest ways to support. You can fill out the form, tell them where you're joining them from or joining the list from, where you want to see the ice cream in the US come to your stores, and then go to your store, go to your local grocery store and say, hey, we have heard of this brand on 9 to 5 Wellness podcast, and we heard Milli talk about it, and we would like to have Eat Kinda in the freezer section. Can you contact the brand? That is probably one of the best things you can do for any founder who has a food product, because if you're the consumer at the store, if you're a buyer of the store, they're going to listen to you because they know that this is something that you are going to enjoy. This is something that is a need for you and your family, right? So go ahead and do that. And Milli, thank you so much for coming out on such a hot day in New York City, joining me for the podcast. And I have to tell you, you and Jenny are just so wonderful. You've been like a pure joy since I met you the first time at Tech Week. So thank you so very much for joining me.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Aisha.
Of course, it's a pleasure. And hopefully when it's on the shelves, we are going to be back and talking about how good it is doing.
Maybe we can do a taste testing of the new flavor.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on. I can't wait.
Sounds good.
So we'll do that soon sometime. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the podcast. And before we hang up, I have a disclaimer to share, which is I hope you enjoyed this conversation. The views expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and for educational purposes only. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, or act as medical advice. Please consult your physician for personal health concerns. Thank you so much for listening to us today. Bye for now.